What if everything you see, touch, and feel is nothing more than information projected onto a flat, two-dimensional surface and interpreted by your brain as three-dimensional reality?
What if the depth you perceive, the height of mountains, the vastness of space, the roundness of a ball in your hand, is all an illusion, a trick of cosmic code rendering a world that, at its most fundamental level, has no depth at all?
Imagine standing in front of a movie screen. You see characters running, jumping, falling. You feel tension. You almost believe they exist in a three-dimensional world. Peel back the curtain and there is nothing but a flat surface with light patterns. Now ask yourself, what if you are the character on that screen? If our entire universe, everything from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, is encoded on a two-dimensional boundary, and what we call reality is simply the projection. This is not science fiction. This is not philosophy reserved for late-night dorm room debates. This is a serious scientific hypothesis gaining traction among the greatest minds in theoretical physics. This is the holographic universe. And once you understand it, you will never look at your hand, your room, your sky the same way again. Ground beneath your feet, the stars above your head, the face of someone you love, all of it encoded flat, all of it a projection, all of it a simulation running on two-dimensional information. If you are ready to uncover the truth behind our simulated universe, hit like and subscribe to join us on a journey through the mysteries of simulation theory. Let's get started. Simulation theory has taken many forms over the centuries, from Plato's cave, where prisoners watched shadows dancing on a stone wall and mistook those flickering outlines for the whole of reality, to Descartes sitting alone by candlelight and wondering whether an evil demon was feeding him false perceptions of a world that did not truly exist, all the way to Nick Bostrom's landmark 2003 philosophical paper, arguing that statistically, mathematically, almost certainly, we are all living inside a computer simulation constructed by some advanced future civilization with godlike computational power. Of all the many variations of this ancient and endlessly modern idea, none is more mind-bending, none is more mathematically grounded, and none cuts more deeply into the very bedrock of existence than this one particular and radical hypothesis. The idea that our universe is not merely simulated, but fundamentally and irreducibly two-dimensional in its nature. We seem to live in a rich, layered, three-dimensional world. Objects have height, width, and depth. You can reach out and feel the roundness of an apple, the thickness of a book, the distance between yourself and the far wall across the room. Depth feels undeniably, physically, viscerally real. Physicists working at the bleeding edge of cosmology and quantum gravity have uncovered something extraordinary and deeply unsettling: mathematics of our universe. The actual equations that govern reality at its most fundamental level work just as well, and sometimes even more elegantly, when you remove one dimension entirely from the picture. The three-dimensional world we experience every waking moment may be a holographic projection cast from a two-dimensional surface that wraps around all of space. This astonishing idea came from studying black holes, from string theory, from the holographic principle championed by Susskind and 't Hooft. Today we go deep. Here is the challenge that physicists and philosophers have wrestled with for decades, and it begins with a question that sounds almost too simple at first. How much information does it actually take to fully and completely describe a region of space? Think carefully about a cube sitting in front of you. If you want to perfectly describe everything happening inside that cube, every particle, every field, every quantum state, every interaction at every scale, your intuition says the amount of information required should scale with the volume of that cube. More space, more stuff, more information needed. That seems obvious. That seems entirely logical. That seems absolutely inevitable, except it turns out to be completely and profoundly wrong. When Jacob Bekenstein and Stephen Hawking were studying the thermodynamics of black holes in the 1970s, they discovered something that shattered that intuition entirely. The information content of a black hole, the absolute maximum amount of information you could ever pack into any given region of space, does not scale with volume. It scales with the surface area of the boundaries surrounding that region, not the inside, the outside edge, the flat, two-dimensional surface that wraps around everything within. This was not a minor technical revision to some obscure equation. This was a conceptual earthquake that sent shockwaves through every branch of theoretical physics. It meant that reality, in some profound and genuinely literal mathematical sense, might be two-dimensional at its deepest core. Everything happening in three-dimensional space is already encoded, fully and completely, on a surface with one fewer dimension. Imagine a hologram on a credit card. You tilt it just right. A three-dimensional image appears to float in the air before you, but all the information creating that image is stored entirely on the flat plastic surface. Now scale that concept up to the full size of the observable universe. What if you are the hologram? Close your eyes for just a moment and picture yourself standing in a vast open field as evening falls slowly across the wide sky above you. The light fades from deep blue into black, and stars begin to pierce through the darkening canopy one by one, timid at first, then bold and brilliant. The horizon stretches in every direction as far as your eye can possibly reach, wide and open and seemingly without end. You feel small. You feel undeniably three-dimensional. You feel embedded in a universe of volume and depth and real, solid physical space surrounding you on all sides. Now hold that image and then let it slowly dissolve like smoke. Because if the holographic principle is correct, everything you just imagined, that open field, that darkening sky, those emerging stars, the very sensation of your own body standing in that vast space with the night closing in around you is a projection. Every inch of apparent depth is rendered. Every perceived distance is computed. Feeling of your feet pressing against solid ground beneath you is nothing more than information, patterns encoded on a two-dimensional surface sitting at the edge of your observable universe, playing back in seamless, unbroken real time directly into your experiencing consciousness. How does that actually feel when you sit with it quietly? Does it disturb something fundamental and deep inside you? Does it fill you with a strange, disorienting kind of wonder? Or does some stubborn, instinctive part of you resist it completely because your entire lived existence has been built on the utterly unquestioned assumption that the depth is real, that the world has genuine substance, that you are not a projection? Here's what makes this so philosophically staggering. Even if every word of this is true, nothing about your experience changes at all. You will still feel cold when rain touches your skin. You will still carry grief and know joy and feel warmth. The projection is absolutely perfect, and so the deepest question emerges, what does it mean to be real? Here is where the physics of this idea becomes really compelling. In actual physics, there is a principle called the holographic principle. It was proposed by serious theoretical physicists, including Stephen Hawking and Gerard Hooft, and it suggests that the information needed to fully describe a 3D volume of space can be encoded on a 2D surface. Think carefully about what that actually means. The 3D world we experience may be a projection generated from a 2D information layer that sits underneath everything we perceive. Like a hologram where the 3D image is created by a flat 2D film, volume looks and feels completely real to the observer inside it, but the actual data generating that experience is flat. This is not a fringe idea. This is a serious proposal in modern theoretical physics, supported by string theory and extensive research into black hole information storage. In fact, some physicists argue the holographic principle may be the single most significant insight in physics since Einstein. Now apply this directly to flat Earth and simulation theory. If the universe is holographic, then the 3D experience most people have is a projection being generated by 2D data at a deeper structural layer. Some people may be receiving the full projected 3D output and moving through it naturally, and some may be experiencing something much closer to the raw underlying 2D data layer itself. In that case, their perception of a flat Earth is not a mistake. It's a more direct interface with the actual base information structure of the simulation. Flat earthers may not be misreading the simulation at all. Maybe reading a layer of it that most people simply never access directly. That completely reframes the debate because the argument was never really about geography or science. It was about which layer of the simulated reality a person is interfaced with and whether they even know that other layers exist. So let us bring together what we have discovered on this remarkable journey. The universe, according to some of the most rigorous and beautiful mathematics in theoretical physics, appears to be fundamentally two-dimensional at its core. The depth we experience, the space we move through, the three-dimensional world we take completely for granted every single day may be a holographic projection of information encoded on a flat boundary that surrounds us. Bekenstein and Hawking showed us that information scales with surface area, not volume. Maldacena showed us that a 3D universe with gravity is mathematically identical to a 2D theory on its boundary. And the holographic principle, now decades old and continuously strengthened by new research, says plainly the world inside is encoded on the world outside. Think about what that means for your life right now. In this very moment, you are walking through a rendered world. Every conversation, every touch, every view from a window, every moment of quiet reflection, all of it is information beautifully and perfectly projected from a surface you cannot see and cannot reach. And yet, it is real. It is your life. It is the only experience you have. The mystery is not whether any of this diminishes reality. Mystery is why the projection is so extraordinarily perfect, so rich, so full of meaning. What kind of code produces love? What kind of mathematics encodes grief and wonder and the feeling of standing in an open field under a vast night sky? We do not yet know, but we are asking. And the asking itself is perhaps the most magnificent thing in the universe. What do you think? Does the idea that we genuinely live in a fundamentally two-dimensional universe change how you see your daily life and your place in it? Does it fill you with a sense of boundless wonder and awe? Or does it unsettle something deep and fundamental inside you? Drop your honest thoughts in the comment section below. I genuinely want to know how this idea lands for you personally. If you enjoyed this exploration of simulation theory, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you're ready for more interesting content on the simulation theory, make sure to check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.